what we're going to be drawing today is a gargoyle, which is a lot of fun. Um, his name is Silex or Celix. I'm not really quite sure how you say it. And he's one of our main characters in the Jawline graphic novel I illustrated. The last one came out in 2019. So here's our our guy, Silex. And here's are some pages if you want to take a look. So pretty spooky, pretty spooky. And this graphic novel trilogy is available on Amazon or the learner's website. Just feel free to Google it. Um, so yeah. Um, hope everyone has pencils, uh, markers, maybe some color pencils. You could even have watercolor, and yeah, I think we're gonna get into it. All right, let me put this aside. Okay, one moment. Okay, let's get into it. All right, so what we're going to be drawing is actually Silex's head. Um, this is kind of what our final image is going to look like. Okay, so our goal is to illustrate this guy. Okay, and how you illustrate any type of images is you break it down into shapes. So, like if you look at a car, you look at a house, you look at a person, you could break down all those elements into shapes, and that's essentially what you do. And that's what we're going to be doing with my friend here, Silex. Um, all right. So what our first shape is going to be, it's going to be a circle. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to light. So, okay, when you guys start drawing the illustration, you want it to be really, really light because this is going to be our rough. And what we're going to do is add slightly more and more and more details as we go along, but we never want to press too hard onto the page. So if you use like a lighter pencil, that might be easier to erase. So I have my handy eraser right here. Okay. All right. So get your pencils out. All right. Let me just see if there's any comments. Okay. So make sure you have your pencils out, and we're just going to draw and honestly, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. You can just be very, very, very it's just we're going to be erasing this anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, and I know it doesn't show up perfectly on the camera, so I'm going to I have a better or darker circle that you can see. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few minutes to draw your circle. And remember, use a lighter pencil when you're doing this, and because we're going to be erasing it. So this is step one. All right, I'm going to give you one more minute, and we're going to move on to the next step. All right, almost done. All right, and guys, let me know if you want me to move any faster. Okay. All right, I think that's enough for everyone to make their initial circle. All right. So, okay. So this is the basis of Silex's head. The next step is what we're going to do is add a jaw. Okay, so I'm going to do just make a simple jawline. And honestly, guys, it doesn't have to be perfect. See, mine's not perfect either. Okay, so all I did was I'm adding a jawline. Okay, all right. So this is a little bit more perfect circle and jawline, but it doesn't have to look this perfect. So very lightly, just make a jawline. All right, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to draw the jawline. Okay. And again, please make sure that it's very light because we're going to be erasing it once we apply all the or once we apply the markers to the pencil illustration. So I'll give you one more minute to do your jawline. And then we'll move on to some basic guidelines. All right, almost done. Got one more minute or less than a minute. All right, I think we're good with the jawline here. All righty, let's move to the next portion. So what we're going to do now is approximate where the center of the gargoyle Silex's face is. Okay, so what we're going to do is just draw a very simple line to approximate where the mid center of his face is. So this is the center of his face, and then approximately where his eyes are going to be. As you get more experienced as an artist, you don't necessarily always need to add these particular lines, but they're very helpful, especially when you're starting. But there isn't any there's not any shame of doing it. It's just a very basic guideline where the eyes are going to be. Oh, let me put this right here. So it's got to look similar to this. Okay, so you see how this line isn't perfectly where the eyes are going to be. It's just to give you kind of a guide where the eyes are going to be on this gargoyle. Yeah, and just let me know if I'm going too fast or too slow on this. I'm going to give you 2 more minutes. So this is step 3, guys. So we've only done 3 steps so far. All right, one more minute. Okay. All right. I think we're done with those guidelines. All right. So the next step, I'm not going to show you that, is we're going to draw the gargoyle's neck. So this is also remember, I can't stress enough, is we have to make this light so we can erase it later when we apply the markers. Okay, so I'm just going to do a very simple neck. And his neck is kind of, I don't know what the correct term is, but kind of, so he's kind of muscular. So maybe even kind of do this. So you can kind of, it's not an average, he doesn't have like an average neck, right? Because he's a strong, bodybuilder, bodybuilder-ish neck. So, all right. So you could draw him. It doesn't really matter. It's just an approximation. So here. So you're just drawing his neck, okay? And I'm going to give you again 3 minutes. When we get closer to the more complex portions of the gargoyle, I think what we're going to do is make it more than 3 minutes. I'm going to give you more than 3 minutes because I think it takes a little bit longer. All right. And just let me know if you want me to go any further. I mean, any faster. All right, I think I'm going to give you one more minute. And please remember this is step 4. So we have 15 steps in total. But there's going to be some variations of step 15 that I'm going to show you at the end of this process. All right, I think we're done with step 4. All righty. So what we're going to do.
Pick up the pace just a little bit, Orion, until we get to the complicated stuff.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Just making. Okay. All right. So we're going to limit it to 2 minutes. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to draw Silex's eyes. This is just another approximation. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Usually, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do this. Okay. So at 4:19. Okay. So normally what you want to do, there's a certain rule, you know, when a character's eyes are about an eye and a half length apart, that's about correct. But since this gargoyle is not really a normal human face, it doesn't necessarily need to be exactly that distance. Also, it's in a 3.5 quarter position, so you can't measure it exactly. But like if a face was directly looking right at you, you can kind of measure the distance between the eyes by having an eye and a half apart. It's about that. It also depends on what kind of character you're doing, and if it's a superhero, it might be different than an average person, or if you're drawing a monster, of course it could be different. So it all depends. All right, one more minute, and then we're gonna try to pick up the pace. Right. Okay, we're good. All right. So the next thing to do is, so when I showed you Silex, he has these kind of I don't know. I'll show you. So Silex kind of has these like weird eyebrow things where they're kind of like, I don't know, fat above his eyes. I don't really know. So what exactly it is. I guess it's supposed to give him expressions. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're just gonna very lightly draw the you know, the eyebrow, whatever it's called. Okay. All right. So again, okay, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, but again, it doesn't have to be perfect, and you want to draw this very lightly so you can erase it once you apply the markers. All right. And this is step 6. So we're almost halfway through the plint the early steps, but when we start inking, I'm probably going to give you a lot of time to do that. Also, I'm probably gonna give you more time when we draw the teeth, because the teeth always takes the longest. And also, again, remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so I guess we're done with this weird eyebrow thing. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is draw our gargoyle's nose. All right, so doesn't have to be perfect. This is all just for fun. It doesn't have to look like mine exactly. Um, so don't worry. This is all just for fun. Okay. So this is it's starting to get a little bit more complicated. So maybe 2 minutes and a half, maybe. People get nervous when they're drawing like the nose and stuff like that. Maybe a minute and a half. I don't have an exact timer on me, so I'm gonna approximate, because it's starting to get a little bit more complicated. But I mean, we're almost halfway there uh, to starting our inking our gargoyle, so that's always good. So we're making progress. see. Right. Should have a nose by now. Okay. I think we're good. All right. So this I'm going to give you more time for. Now we're going to Silex or Gargoyle. I should just say Gargoyle. Our Gargoyle has these weird like walrus teeth thing. So that's what we're going to be drawing next. So what we're going to do, okay, this is a little bit more complicated, but you know, it's okay. So we're just trying to draw his teeth. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect because remember, we're inking with markers our gargoyle. So don't worry if it doesn't look perfect. All right. All right. So that's a very light gargoyle mouth. I'm going to give you, what should I give you? 4 minutes to do this because it's a little bit more complicated. And then you'll also notice that there's a tooth in the middle. So maybe I should bring it a little bit closer to the camera. So you'll notice that there's a tooth in the middle. So all you're showing are 3 teeth, or 3 normal sized teeth, and then these 2 gigantic tusks. Also, did I draw the lip? Okay, so you also have to just draw very basic lip. And then after this this stage, what we're going to be doing is we're going to add a little bit more detail, but don't go, don't go too much into detail. Don't press your pencil against the paper too much. Make it very light. Yeah. Also, you can draw like the different rock formations that are on his teeth because I forgot to mention that our gargoyle is of course stone, so he has kind of like a rock texture to his skin. So you could start just indicate where you're going to add that rock texture. But it doesn't have to be like if you want to be unique. What you could do is you can make a scaly version of our gargoyle if you want. So you could do that as well. There's no there aren't any rules when it comes to art. This is just for fun too. So do not worry what it looks like. All right, I think I'm gonna give you 1 more minute. All righty. I think, are you guys good? Okay. So our next step is we're going to add a tiny bit more definition when it comes to his eyes and his neck. So we're just going to do a very quick approximation where his eyes are going to be, like mostly the pupil. Right, so we're just going to do a very basic, just going to so kind of where his neck kind of formatting. You could even kind of figure out where his chest is going to be. And then I'm going to go back and just add some basic texture. Okay. Also, you can define this his eyebrow, whatever it's called, a little bit more if you want. All right. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, so I'm putting this right here. Okay. I'm gonna pull the paper a little bit closer so you can see what I mean. So all you have to do is kind of add a pupil here, and then you know, kind of add his neck, more definition to his neck. I'll let you guys do that. I think I'm gonna give you a little bit more time. So maybe like 4 minutes. And like I was saying, you could also just do different types of variations of our gargoyles. So if you want, you could add, I don't know, you could add, you know, more teeth. You could add, you know, you can even make him roaring or some make him scare even more scary. It's really up to you and what you want to do here. So there aren't any rules when it comes to art. All right. I'm gonna wait till 4:31. And so also get your markers and your colored pencils ready too. Also, you could use watercolor, or you know, or you could use any type of. I'm going to be showing you how to use these um, like ink wash markers. I don't know what they're called exactly. They just look like this. I don't know. Gray markers. And I'm also going to show you how to color on a computer. And also remember that this doesn't have to look perfect again. We're just having fun. Um, so don't worry how it's going to look. You just kind of want to play around with it, really. You don't want to be too serious about it. Then you know, that's the whole fun of really drawing. All right, we're going to give you 1 more minute. This next step, I think I'm going to give you 5 minutes because we're going to start drawing his horns. Oh boy. This usually, when I've done this in the past, this next stage is the one where most participants feel a little bit intimidated, but don't feel intimidated. We're just having fun. Okay. We're done with that stage. All right. You ready? Okay. So what we're gonna do is kind of start to form. There's this weird center thing in the center of Silex's face. I don't know what it is. This thing. We're gonna start drawing that. We're gonna start drawing the crack that is in his head, and then we're gonna start drawing this horn. Also, fun fact: this gargoyle, that his horns are modeled after a ram, like, you know, related to sheep. All right, so what we're gonna do? We're just gonna go real slow. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like mine's not gonna look perfect right away. All right. So it doesn't have to look perfect. Also, what we want to do is add a little bit more definition to where his face is. So like right here, his ridge, the end of his eye here. Okay. So okay. So I don't know if you really can see that on the camera, but this is essentially what I did. Um, Let me pull it up to the camera so you can see it a little better. Okay, so what we're kind of doing is adding the horns here. Just the very beginning of it, and then his little cracks that are on his I guess his forehead. Yeah. So I'm gonna give you 5 minutes for this because it's a little bit more complicated. And then we're already on step 10. So we got step 11, 12, 13, and then 14 is just inking, and then 15 is coloring. But we're gonna do a few different variations of coloring. I'm gonna show you some demonstrations of each one. So again, just have fun. Don't feel intimidated. Also, I should add that we're only drawing this top portion of the horn. The next stage is we're going to be kind of drawing the bottom portion, so like right here. Don't worry about that yet. We're going to move on to the next portion at 3:39. So I just want to make sure everyone does the top portion of the horn, and then we're almost there. I'm going to give you 2 more minutes. Also, this drawing a gargoyle would be perfect for Halloween. So if you guys want to draw this again towards Halloween, that might be a fun treat to do um, during Halloween. Scare your friends, I guess. All right, 2 more minutes or 1 more minute now. All right, I think we're done with the top portion. This horns. All right, we're almost there. Almost there. Okay, so I guess really 12 and 11. Oh, I shouldn't show you the final version. I guess really 12 and 11 are pretty similar. So we kind of already added some definition. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and draw the bottom portion of his horns. We're just doing it very lightly. Does not have to be perfect. I think what we're going to do is kind of skip 11, 12 here. Oh, no, we're not going to skip. We're going to do his ear next after this step. So just kind of find it here. All right. Okay, guys. So see, we're just adding the bottom portion of his horns. It's kind of like, saying it's kind of like a ram's horn. So just take your time. I suppose this is another 5 minute one. Some people get a little bit intimidated. And then so the next step is we're going to be drawing his ear, and then we're just going to add a little bit more detail. The example I'm going to show you has way too much detail, I think, for the pencil stage because we're going to be, like I said, inking it, and that I probably should give you the most amount of time. So I should probably give you like maybe 30, 20, 30 minutes, something like that. Maybe 20 minutes. All right, so I'm 4 more minutes on this. Three more minutes. I think when we get to the ear stage, I'm going to, I think we're going to make it a little bit less because we want to make sure you have plenty of time to actually ink the image. And then I want to show you just basically some basic coloring. I want to make sure we fit that all in there. All right, one more minute. All right, I think we're good. Okay. All right, guys. So what we're gonna do is quickly draw his ear. We just really want to do a really basic ear drawing. It doesn't have to be perfect. So this is a quick indication where the ear is going to be. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. We're gonna go a little bit quicker. So I think I'm gonna give you maybe we'll give you 2 minutes for the ear and then 4 minutes to add a little bit more definition, and then we'll go right into inking for 20. And then for about 20 more minutes, I'll go and I'll quickly show the different kinds of coloring. I don't know if I'll color, and I think I'm just going to play around. So if it's, I don't know if I'm going to do an entire color or finish an entire colored image, but we're just having fun, so it doesn't have to be perfect, like I've mentioned. So one more minute on the ear. All right, I think we're done with that ear. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna be adding a lot of, okay, we're gonna add more definition, but we don't have to add this much detail in the pencil stage, okay? Um, so as I'm drawing this, you can kind of see it. We're mostly focusing on this image. We're just kind of adding a little bit more definition. So just to kind of guide us what we're gonna be doing as we're inking. Nothing fancy, nothing fancy. So we're just gonna spend a little time refining it. Also, if you want, you could look up images of ram horns. You know, their horns for reference. If you want to have some reference to go by. And honestly, all monsters are just like an amalgamation of different parts of real animals. Really, if you think about it, like werewolves or vampires, or you know, big monsters like Godzilla or maybe Cthulhu or something. It's really just a mix of different types of animals. I mean, there's so many spooky animals, so it's easy to. So you don't have to go that that out of control with this. Don't do it as detailed as this, because what our main goal is to ink and to add all the details in the inking stage. Okay, so I'm just going to run out the clock till we hit 450, and then we're going to be inking for 20 minutes. And don't worry if you're not done. You could always come back to the inking stage. I'm just kind of going a little bit quicker so we have time, so I have time to show you how to color, or just show what I do when I color. I primarily work digitally. Um, for my work, I work digitally too. Occasionally, or when I have time, really, I sometimes draw traditionally. But what I do is I print it out on blue line paper, and I usually ink on top of that with real markers. I just have a preference for drawing digitally because you have a lot more control. But traditionally is fun too. So we're just kind of fooling around. We have 1 more minute, so just kind of draw the basic guide maps of what you're going to be doing. All right, it's there. 1 more minute, guys. I hope this is a lot of fun. I always love drawing Silex. Kind of miss drawing him, but I have other projects I'm working on, so someday they'll come out. uh, the publishing world is all wacky right now, so even printing takes forever now. All right, so what we're gonna do is uh, we're gonna be inking our friend Silex. Do you see him? So what we're gonna do is just kind of add details, and don't worry. I mean, obviously this is super detailed, and I had more than 20 minutes to do this. Uh, so don't worry about it. Just kind of have fun. I think you can pretty much see what I'm going for. So I just have all different types of markers here. Just experiment. Don't worry how it's gonna look, because if you worry too much what the end result's gonna look like, I mean, you're never gonna have fun. You're never gonna grow as an artist. So you really just wanna mess with it. So uh, I'm just gonna play around. And feel free to do the same thing. So look at this image and just try to you don't even need to 100% copy it. Just kind of use this as inspiration. And then feel free to like look up references. So like you could look up different textures for rock. You could look up, like I mentioned, the ram's horn. So we might not even get done. I might not even get done. I'm just gonna play around. So we have 20 minutes to do this portion. And then I'm going to quickly show you the different coloring techniques. And I'm going to show you the first two, traditional coloring, and then we're going to get into probably basically digitally color things. But even that, there's a bunch of different ways to digitally color. I'm just going to show you how I color on a program called Clip Studio Paint. It used to be called Manga Studios. It's a Japanese program that they popularized in the US, and it's used by a lot of comic book artists. I think some like amateur, not amateur, but like some animators use it. Well, I mean, I guess you would kind of consider it amateur, but I mean, meaning the fact that it's not amateur, like it's not good, because I've seen good animation on Clip Studio Paint. It's more just, you're not working in a studio on a big project. So I guess amateur has kind of a negative connotation, but it's not. All right, so we're just kind of fooling around. We're not, don't be too serious about it. We're just having fun. And I would suggest to use a lighter marker at first. I mean, a thinner marker. So this is like this is just a Sharpie, a fine point. Sometimes when I do my commissions, I use like these type of pens. They're, what are they called? Microns. They're called microns. Usually I use those, but I mean they're so tiny. I don't know if the camera really can pick it up. So I'm just going to use a Sharpie so you can kind of see. And what also you want to do is you want to think of a light source. So you see how in this ink drawing, the shadows are over here. So think of like a light bulb that's over here, this area, shining over to this side. It's not. It's pretty bright out in this image because there's not a ton of shadows. There's just a little bit. So keep that in mind. So we have, oh my goodness. Okay, so um, we have about, let's see, 15-ish minutes. So we're just having fun. I'm probably not even gonna get done because I like to, as you can tell, like to add quite a bit of detail. It's just I just think it just have fun adding a lot of detail because it kind of creates the world. But when you're drawing like comic book panels, you have to be careful with detail sometimes. So you don't want to overwhelm the image and obscure what you're actually drawing. But I'm a big fan of details. We're not even gonna get done, or I'm not gonna get done here. That's okay though. We're just having fun. And you see what the final product looks anyways. And I think these videos are going to be uploaded. So if you want, you could go back to the video and just pause it to look at this image and kind of use that as inspiration. I'm going to start outlining it. We're going to run out of time. And also, if you make mistakes, it's not a big deal. We're just messing around. So like for instance, that probably should be thinner right there. But it doesn't matter. That's also why I kind of prefer drawing digitally because you can easily fix mistakes. You can use the cropping tool and select a certain part of a drawing and then adjust it however you want. Um, so it's a little bit more convenient, efficient, I feel. But you could also always you could get white out, I suppose, um, or you could scan it into Photoshop and you could adjust it, or Clip Studio Paint, so you could scan the image in. Also, if you don't have a scanner, a quick tip is you could also use your iPad. There's a program called Adobe Scan you could get, which is pretty good. Looks like you're taking a picture with your iPad, but it's somehow it looks like a scan. I don't know. You could do that. So we still have 10 more minutes of inking. This is probably the most time consuming part. And then we got 20 minutes of just messing around with colors after that. But of course, if you're not done, don't feel overwhelmed. It's not a big deal. I'm not even going to finish in that amount of time. I'm going to try using, where's my larger one? Okay. I'm going to add more shadows. Just kind of making a light source. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to finish this. That's like I kept on mentioning. It doesn't matter. We're just having fun. Like I said, you can always just come back to this video and then look at my final image over there, right here, and finish your inked illustration. And so the idea is when you're done inking your whole illustration, you kind of want it to sit for a little bit when you're done inking it with your markers. And then after, let's say like 5-10 minutes, after you know it's 100% dry, you go back and then you just erase the pencils that you previously did. So I'm going to go in and add some of these. I don't think the camera can capture this at all. So I apologize. I don't think you can see anything I'm doing here. But I'm just gonna mess with this a little bit. I don't know, I don't think you can see it at all. Um, let's just stick with the larger markers. So really, with these larger markers, there's no way you can make these little tiny details right here. Um, but we're just gonna ignore that so you can actually see something that I'm drawing. And I hope this is fun. I mean, the main objective is you want to have fun. You don't want to be too worried about the end product because if you worry too much about what it's going to look like, it kind of defeats the purpose of why you're doing it in the first place. So, so like sometimes beginner artists, what they do is they worry too much. Oh, does it look bad? Well, I mean, that shouldn't be really your concern because, you know, you your whole objective is to have fun and to enjoy what you're doing. If you don't enjoy it, you're kind of taking away the joy of actually drawing. I mean, especially, and you also have to think of it this way: like if you're a beginner artist, um, there's no way you're going to be perfect right away. Like, I mean, like a football player isn't amazing when they're just starting off. It takes a lot of practice and enjoyment of you know, actually doing um, what you're setting yourself out to do. So that's a key thing you have to remember. Just have fun and don't worry too much about the end result because it's just gonna also stress you out, you know. So yeah, so it doesn't look perfect, but you see where it's going. Yeah, see, it doesn't look exactly like that one so far, right? I mean, it's similar, but no, it doesn't matter. I mean, the objective really isn't to perfectly copy it, it's to kind of do your own version. So don't worry. So we have 3 more minutes. Again, just come back to this and finish your inks because we only we only have so much time, so we don't want to. You don't really need a rush. You can just always come back to the image.
Orion, while you're inking, and
Hmm.
this is a lot of fun, really relaxing, but while you're inking, maybe talk a little bit about the school that you went to.
Yeah. Okay. My grandfather was Joe Kubert. He was a major comic book artist in that basically helped pioneer comic book art. He worked with people like Jack Kirby, who co-created Captain America and a lot of the main Marvel characters, and he worked with Will Eisner and Carmen Infantino and all the big guys. So he in the 70s started a school in Dover, New Jersey called the Joe Kubert Cartoon and Sequential Art School. And I went to that school. Um, yeah, and I learned a lot how to do sequential art and story. I also learned storyboarding and concept art, how to do that. It's still going today. Um, I think it's a hybrid right now. So they do some online and then they do some in person. But they do a lot of online classes. Or they used to. I don't know if they do as much. Yeah, we got one more minute. Yeah, and I have other family members who are in the comic book field who've so my uncle Andy, he's Andy Kubert. He has worked with people like Neil Gaiman and Frank Miller, and Grant Morrison, really prestigious comic book art or writers. Um, I my personal favorite of Andy's is this comic called 1602 he wrote with Neil Gaiman. Um, because it's just really, really, really well done, and the colorist Richard Eisenman is really good. Okay, so I think we're done. So again, you can always come back to this. You can ink as long as you want. But we gotta move on because we got 20 more minutes. Always come. You can always feel free to go back to this video. So what we're gonna do?
And just to let
Yeah.
everybody know, this is being recorded and I'll put the video on the library's YouTube page probably Monday or Tuesday at the latest.
Okay. So yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna play around with some colors. So what I think I'm gonna do is 5 minutes of each one. Um, You know what you guys can do? You can just grab as whatever color you want. Since Silex is kind of gray, it's a little bit, it might be a little bit boring just to draw him gray. So that's why I had this like weird digital watercolor. This Silex looks a little bit spookier. He looks really spooky. I did this recently digitally really quick. And I'm gonna show you how I did draw digitally in a few minutes. So I don't know, maybe I'll do gray, and then you could you could just make wacky colors. So just go light. I don't know how well this is even gonna show up. Let's see, is it showing up? Maybe we'll use a different color. So we just, you know what? We'll try messing with a purple silex. Does that look? Does that show up more? That shows up more. Okay, so just go real light, and remember we're making a light source. So yeah, I might not have a ton of time. I don't know how much time I should give this. But you get the basic idea. Just kind of have fun with it. Um, Incidentally, purple is actually my favorite color, so that's why I probably chose the purple. Like,
Should maybe tell us like, are there any, I don't want to say rules, but any advice you have for like, should a certain section all be the same color or
I don't think there really are any rules.
no, no, do
No,
whatever you want,
yeah,
creative. Yeah.
but what you could do, the main point is what you want to do is just think of highlights. So you see it's kind of like lighter right here. So the light is kind of hitting right here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and then it's a little bit darker over here. Um, that's about it. I added a tiny bit. You can't. I don't know if you can tell, but there's like a tiny bit of blue, so it kind of matches the color that's behind him. Um, and this is just really scary. I think I made this way too scary because his eyes. He looks very scary. I don't know. I would have redone this, redo this. Um, but yeah, what I should have done with this one is add a little bit of orange in this image. I think this illustrates it a little bit better. So the main thing you want to do is just pretend. So as you're drawing something in two-dimensional, you want to think of it as a 3D image in your head, like something that's actually alive. So you're creating, by having a light source, you're kind of making a 2D image appear three-dimensional. So yeah, so you could use colored pencils, or you can have this watercolor set here. I don't do a ton of watercolors coloring, but I do like. But there are some amazing watercolor artists that I've seen. I particularly like um, when this artist by the name of Oliver Capel does watercolor. I'm a big fan of his. So since we don't have a ton of time, I'm just gonna, there aren't any rules. We can just mess with a bunch of different things. So I got this watercolor set I'm just gonna play around with. Yeah. So you could just feel like, you're in art class and you're just having fun. I got this cool little brush that came with it. I don't know. I'll just mess with it. And then for the last 10 minutes, we'll do digital coloring. So also, if you're doing this, you're probably doing this on computer paper. So it's definitely going to buckle. Look, it's already buckling right now. You should probably, if you want to draw or watercolor, I guess you could start on watercolor paper or like some type of vellum, but not like uh, the smooth kind of vellum. That won't work. So you probably want to work on, you know, maybe like the regular kind where it has some texture on it. So we're just going to fool around until 520, and then we're going to switch to the iPad. Of course, this is not going to be done. We're just playing around. But, we can, when this video is recorded, you can always go back to it and play around with it. I actually love the look of watercolor. I really want to do more of this kind of thing. Maybe I'll do in the future more digital watercolor. I think it's always strange that there's digital versions of everything. So you can kind of mimic everything. But it's fun to do traditional too. So I don't want to disparage it too much because there are a lot of amazing traditional artists. Um, yeah. So we're kind of messing with this. So on when it and for 3 more minutes, we're just gonna play around. Remember, this is our light source. Yeah, I've always really liked the color purple. Um, like the night sky kind of purple. I don't know what that's called. I like adding it whenever I color something. I also like blue with purple. And sometimes it's cool to add yellow, like a little bit of yellow. I think my least favorite color is lime green. So bright green. I don't know. Never been never been a fan of that color. So we're just fooling around. Um, so it's a lot of fun. I really like watercolor. There's this really cool comic called Moon Shadow that's done entirely in watercolor. It's drawn watercolored by this artist by the name of John J. Meth I met once, and I would recommend that. And you can kind of see how watercoloring, like a finished watercolored comic, which is really cool. And I don't really see that very often. All right, so one more minute and then we'll switch to my iPad. There was a little bit of an echo with my iPad, so I had to put my iPad away. I'll go get it. All right. So we're just one more minute. But you guys get kind of the picture. Oh, that's a little too dark.
Any questions or comments while we're drawing and painting?
Might want to switch to the iPad. Okay. All right. So this program is called Clip Studio Paint. It's what I was mentioning before. It used to be called Manga Studio. I'm just gonna get one of my basic brushes, so it's a gouache brush, and then I'm just gonna get maybe like a grayish thing, but we can make it kind of purple. So what I'm gonna do is just play around with it. If you guys have like SketchUp you can get on your iPad, you could also use that program to color. Um, it's kind of just a similar idea as the watercolor, but it's a little bit more efficient and quicker. So you see kind of how the brush mimics traditional brushes. All right, so we're just kind of filling it in right here. And if you want to, as I'm doing this demonstration, if you want to continue working on your traditional watercolor pencils or even inking, feel free to do so. I'm just kind of trying to show you all the different ways I color. Also, what traditional comic book artists do, this is more of like a painting-ish kind of method. What they also do is they do something called flats, so they fill in the color, um, and then they then render. So this is kind of a quicker, more digital painting kind of thing. Okay, so then what I do is I look for a lighter color. So this is my color wheel. So I could either change the color slightly. Kind of create a light source. Maybe it should be lighter than that. Yeah, here we go. We're just trying to start creating a light source. Yeah, we're just kind of messing with it. You get the basic idea. We can even go lighter. And then when you start making it lighter, then the other thing is you have to make it darker on the other side. I'm just trying to go really quickly. It's like kind of like a race. But not when you guys do it. When you guys do it, just take your time. And also remember, Clip Studio Paint, I think, cost like $25 if you're doing it on the iPad, the basic Clip Studio Paint. But you could also get I think Sketchbook, that's free on the iPad. Use that. I know Adobe has Adobe Fresco, I'm not probably mispronouncing that. You could use that as well. And they also have a Photoshop, but I don't think it's really that good on the iPad yet. They have also this program called Adobe Draws. Uh, that's more, I guess it's more vector based, but that one's kind of fun to mess with too. So you kind of get the idea what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do, I want to do a more blue color, make it a little bit darker. So yeah, so it's not just one color over and over again. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a lot of fun. Sometimes I like coloring just to relax. Because there's no wrong choices when it comes to coloring. I mean, if you're doing skin tone, like if you even look at a skin tone of a person, there's you know, a ton of different colors you could actually use. So there's no hard and fast rules of what to do. We're almost done here, but you guys kind of get the idea. And then you can even make it darker here. Yeah, so you want to make sure that there's, like I keep on, like I've mentioned, you want to make sure there's a very obvious light source. So I probably should add some more light down there. Right. All right. So Lorraine, I think is that time? Lorraine?
That's time, Orion. Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun.
No problem.
Um,
I had a ton of fun, and I hope everyone else enjoyed it too.
yeah, let us know if you have any comments. I'm going to type my email in here too. If you want to send me a picture of your gargoyle, I would love to see that and I can share it with Orion. And let us know too, since Orion has this wonderful talent as a comic book artist and graphic artist, let us know if there's something else you'd like to draw with him, and we'll be happy to schedule that.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks great. It's a lot faster on the computer, isn't it, Orion?
I
Yeah,
I kind of prefer it, but I
yeah.
love how
That.
traditional art looks, but it is a lot
What
easier.
about like the drawing part? That must go faster too, right? When
Oh
you're,
yeah, yeah,
uh,
and you can kind of adjust it so
uh,
as I'm like inking the horns or something like that, if you make a mistake, it's really easy just to change it.
so is it cheating in a little bit of a way?
Uh, I mean, that's what they used to say, but I think it's
Yeah.
just a tool. You still,
Uh,
I mean, it just depends on, so you could use a tool in a good way or in a bad way. I don't think there's really
right.
cheating with art, is what I'm trying to say.
Uh, all right. Well, thank you all again for joining us today. We hope to see you next time.
All right, thank you so much, everyone.